There's step 3. Sellers establish the buying vision with the customer. Buyers recognize needs. So now that particular activity is definitely a face-to-face activity. You're never going to do a presentation for one person in order to do that. But at the end and moving towards the end of step 3, you may well have a presentation to consolidate and agree to the vision. There you go. Gain access to the key decision maker to present that draft proposal. Okay. So, out of all of the presentations within the sales process, this one is my least favorite. It sucks, basically. Presentations in step 3. You know, step 3 is clear, yeah, it's like build the buying vision, yeah, discuss the problems, identify what challenges the customer has and what pains they're trying to solve, and you know what the impact and consequences are of those pains over the short term and longer term, and what the objectives and the compelling reasons for the customer is, and how they plan to move forward, and you know what their deliverables are, and what their boss needs, and what their organization expects, and you know, a whole world of discussion, which is great discussion, but you don't need slides to do that, right? That's a one-to-one meeting and a discussion, and so what do we need a presentation for? Well, unfortunately, you know, the larger the organization gets, then the more important it is to speak to different people and to get more people into the boat for various topics, and so that's effectively why we have the need to run a step 3 presentation to consolidate and agree to the vision. Yeah. So here's the reality: you got a room, you got a beamer, you got a seated. They expect you to sit down because they've been sitting down with you all the time. So you have to run a seated presentation. So, but if there's over 5 people, don't sit. Make sure you stand. But then the psychology is difficult because then it's formalized and it shouldn't be a formal presentation. So ideally it's seated. So if you've got 5 people to present to, get a big laptop, nice big laptop with a big screen, so that you can run it in the seated format. Slides need to be crystal clear. Yeah, they need to be able to look at that slide and read what's on it, and then look back at you, and then carry on with the discussion. Yeah, you don't want people looking at slides for too long in a step 3 presentation, because you've got so much psychology to do. You know, you've got 3 or 4 people there. One of them's your sponsor, one of them's your arch enemy, one of them's your competitor's husband. You know, one of them's the finance guy who hates you. One of them's the CEO who doesn't understand. One of them's some chap from Portugal who also doesn't understand and needs to be taken back to step 1 and the egg to get to understand. Not because he's Portuguese, just because he's new to the situation. Yeah? He could be anything. Could be Swiss or English or anything. And it's a difficult presentation, yeah, because you've got all of the psychology going on in the background, yeah, and group dynamics, and horrible, yeah. So be clear. Summarize the discussions that have happened to date. Summarize the agreements that have happened to date. Summarize the next steps that have happened so far. Summarize the resources that you have invested into this opportunity. Summarize your understanding, and this all should have come first, yeah, of the key business drivers for the customer, and why you think they need, and why they think they need to do what it is that you're suggesting that they do. Summarize the vision, yeah, the vision of where they want to go, what they want to achieve, and what problems that they need to solve, yeah. Prepare this well with your sponsor. Feel free to ask questions about the other people who are going to be in the room. Spend time making assumptions on what you think their specific interests are going to be, fully aware of the fact that you may never have met them before. Yeah, you may know background information about what they need or want, but you may need to put this onto the table. Within a Step 3 presentation, it is advisable to try and get in touch with all of the individual members of this presentation, the participants of this presentation, beforehand, so that you can go through the topics with them, go through the agenda with them, set priorities, and do a little bit of pre-sell with them before you actually get into that room. In the ideal world, Step 3 presentation is really about bringing the ideas together rather than about having to sell those ideas to people who don't understand them in the first place. Yeah, so it's a tough presentation. Very often customers use the Step 3 presentation as a way to kick you out. Yeah, basically, yeah, because they know that if they get 2 or 3 or 4 people into the room, then it's very easy for one of those people to put up a red flag, and then everybody says, well, maybe we should think about it again, or maybe this isn't the right thing, or maybe the timing's wrong, or any one of a million small excuses can come into a group environment that doesn't normally happen on a one-to-one level. Yeah. So that's a challenge. The other challenge is that a group of people is kind of easier to get consensus from than an individual person. Yeah. So very, very often you think everything's going well, and you're sending the "is this correct" message, and you're getting the yes response, but that response isn't real because they're in a group now and it's part of a meeting, and there's things going on in that group of people that you don't understand. How could you? It's internal politics and stuff. And so when you leave and you think you've got an agreement, then that needs to be checked quite carefully to actually see if you're going to be moving forward with that. So the structure of the slides needs to be good. The logic of the presentation needs to be good. So use your call plan. Have a look at the call plan information within the materials. There's some presentation slides there, which is a suggested order of slides, which is designed for this specific presentation. Yeah, but have fun and don't be too miserable and depressed and miserable when